Hi guys, I've muted you. Can you hear me? Let me figure out what's going on with my camera real quick. Oh, I know what the problem is. It's not plugged in. There we go. Okay, there you go. All right, can everybody hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, so I went ahead and muted you right off the bat because some of you were testing out your noise making capabilities, and I just needed to let you know that that is not super fun to hear somebody screaming directly into their microphone. So we're just gonna quietly make our way into the read aloud. I'm gonna let a few more people join up. So did everybody get their email this morning? Great, good. And so hopefully between yesterday and today, you have formulated a good plan for your spring break and for your taking good care of yourselves, your bodies and your minds, and also taking care of your family. So would anybody like to share some of their plans, their spring break plans? Great. Miles, what are you thinking about doing? Uh-oh, I unmute.
Our house.
I'm sorry, Miles, will you start over, please? I missed some of that.
We are gonna do like a bunch of games and like playing.
A lot of playing games. That sounds
Yeah.
awesome. I love that idea. Do you have a lot of board games?
Yes.
Good. This is a great time to go down. In my house, it's a basement closet and it's full of board games, and I haven't looked in there in a long time. This is a great time to go check out all those games you have, and puzzles too. Okay, Rashawn, I'm attempting to unmute you. Come on.
I'm going to play board games, play outside, maybe watch a movie, help with chores, and yeah.
Fantastic. I love that idea. That sounds like a good across the board plan, because you're talking about playing games, but you're also talking about helping your family with some of the work that has to be done around the house. I love it. Let's go to Ava. Hi, Ava.
More outside time.
Ooh, yeah. You'll have to check the weather. It looks like we're going to have some really nice days and maybe a couple days where it's a little chilly and rainy. So make sure you take advantage of those nice days.
And on the rain days, we are gonna do a bunch of games.
Oh, great. Love it. Okay, how about Andres?
I think I'm going to be doing some board games, playing outside, helping nature, maybe.
Wonderful.
And next month I may be getting a new puppy.
Really?
Next month.
That's exciting. Very exciting. I was just over in the office and Daisy was jumping all over me, so hope you're ready for all that. Okay. Danny, what are your plans?
I'm gonna ride my bike on
every nice day and day, and then on the like days that that's when to play in the house.
Why am I gonna hear a ringtone?
Like
She made it so you can.
do games and stuff, card games with my.
So bike riding on the nice days and board games on the less nice days. That sounds awesome. Carissa, how about you?
Okay, hold on. Okay. I am going to watch TV, eat food, then go outside
Huh?
and help my family around if they need help.
Awesome. Awesome. That's a good plan. Okay, how about Alina?
I get to celebrate my birthday.
Sure do. Happy birthday. Hey, while we're all here on the subject, why don't we quick sing happy birthday to Alina? So if I unmute you, you have to promise me you're going to join in the singing. Okay? I'm going to unmute you. Ready? Happy birthday to you.
It's so
Happy birthday to you. Very nice. Happy birthday, Alina.
Yep, this is bad. This is really bad.
Okay, going back on mute.
Birthday.
I don't know what I'm gonna do when we're all back at school and I don't have a mute button. Let's see here. Faith, what would you like to say about spring break?
I'm moving to a new house.
I heard about that. That's very exciting, but a lot of work too. So you're packing everything up right now, huh?
Huh?
Yep. Well, I'm excited for you. That's going to be great. Once all the work is done, you're going to love it. Okay, let's see. Addie, what are your plans? Wait. There we go.
I'm going to, if I can, ride my bike every day, host family movie nights, paint, draw, and build with Legos, bake cookies, have a family soup making contest, and yeah.
Awesome. I feel like some of those suggestions came straight out of my email, but that's wonderful. I'm glad. I can't wait to hear about the soup making contest. It sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, how about Sam?
Do everything.
Everything. You're going to be busy.
Yes, I am going to be busy.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about it.
I'm going to be playing online with my friends.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly getting some meetings.
Yeah, good. Glad to hear it. Thank you for sharing, Sam. How about Eleanor? Sorry, Eleanor. Let's try. There we go.
Okay. Everything.
Everything like Sam. You and Sam are going to be busy. Try to remember to sleep a little bit, okay? Every now and then.
Okay.
Okay. How about Ada?
Do my piano practice, which is not stretching, which is not, well, not fun. It's actually fun. Help my family, watch movies, play games. Yeah.
I like that plan. That sounds really good. How about Nigel? Hold on, Nigel. Let me try again. There we go.
I'll definitely play piano,
Uh-huh.
go outside when it's a nice days, and when it's bad days, I'll probably play chess with my dad.
Oh, that sounds good.
And then some other board games, yeah.
Yeah, very fun. I love those plans. This is making me really happy.
Oh yeah, and also helping my dad when, yeah.
Good.
working around the house, yeah.
Good. How about Henry? Wait, let me try again. Henry. One more time. There we go. I got it. Henry, can you hear me?
sit around and wait till coronavirus is over.
Yes, well, I think we'll all be doing our share of that, won't we?
Well, kind of.
But we're going to try to make the best of it. Okay, Svea.
Um,
I'm trying to mute.
we're gonna make cookies. I'm gonna practice my ventriloquism, piano, and read.
Yeah, speaking of your ventriloquism, I noticed your friend the other day. Does he have a name?
Yeah,
Would you like to tell us more about him?
Mr. Harry.
Mr. Harry, okay. Yeah, I went home that day and I said, well, someone brought a full-size ventriloquist dummy in to read aloud today, and I didn't get a chance to ask about it. Well, I hope that after a week of practice, you'll be ready to give us a performance. I'm fully expecting that to happen. Okay, how about Sama?
Mute myself.
Next year, I'm going to build a big Lego house with my dad, and I'm going to do yoga every night.
Oh, that sounds nice. That sounds like a great way to spend your days and your evenings. Wonderful. We could all probably do some yoga this coming week, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
There was ever a time made for lots of yoga, it is this time. Trying to get to Axel. I'm not having a lot of luck here. There we go, Axel.
Yeah, okay. Play everything. Everything I find, do everything.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I want to do everything.
Great. Just do everything. There, Svea's got
Yep.
her.
Especially not iPad.
Okay, let's see. Did I get everyone? How about Leo? Trying, Leo. There we go. What would you like to say, Leo?
I'm gonna paint a giraffe, and I'm gonna bake some cookies. And wait,
Well, that's a great start. You're going to paint a giraffe, and you're going to bake some cookies. What kind of cookies?
just chocolate chips in it.
Chocolate chip is the best. Doesn't get any better than that.
Huh?
Sounds like a great plan, Leo.
Remember?
That's
How
okay.
do I
You can
get
tell
it
me
to
another time
that?
to remember some more, okay?
I was trying to get it in something else.
Okay, let's see here. I think we are ready to start reading. Oh, and did you have your hand up? No, okay. Alrighty, I'll get started.
Okay.
Oh, wait, I know how.
No?
I'll just turn around.
Turn to be.
Okay, so we left off with chapter 8. Carter has encountered a musical singing group of thieves called the Pockpickets. Give me a thumbs up quick if you can hear me, okay? Awesome, okay. And foiled them with his new friend, Theo, the violinist. Chapter 8. The singing thieves have been foiled, Theo said, moving away from the crowd and toward the curb. Thanks to you. I was just following your lead, Theo, Carter admitted. How'd you know what they were planning to do? I had no clue, said Theo. I was passing by, stopped to watch, and then noticed their sneaky game. If not for you, I would have made a fool of myself. He gave Carter a quick nod of gratitude. I could have sworn they put the stolen objects in that bag. No matter, we saved the day. Since you know my name, would you mind sharing yours? Carter. Nice to meet you, Carter. A fortunate coincidence you being there, Theo said, adjusting the cufflinks on his sleeves. Then he pushed the violin bow back into the pocket of his tuxedo pants, despite it being longer than his thigh. How did you do that? Carter asked. The bow is way too long to fit in your pocket. And how did you make the money sack move? Theo grinned from ear to ear. I'm afraid I will not be revealing that to you just yet, perhaps another time, but I must admit I am impressed. You have sweet skills, too. Carter's chest swelled. It felt like a great compliment, especially coming from a boy in a tuxedo who spoke like British royalty. Why were you helping the people in the crowd? Because they could not help themselves, Theo said. They did not know they had been robbed. But what do you get out of it? Carter asked. Nothing, I suppose, Theo said, except knowing that I did what was right. That's worth something. What is wrong? You look confused. Carter was confused. Mr. Vernon used magic but wasn't selling anything. Lila used magic to escape things just for fun. And Theo used magic to help others. But if experience and Uncle Sly had taught Carter anything, it was that others would always let him down. Yet in these people he felt kindred spirits. They reminded Carter of himself. Not knowing what to say, Carter gave a wave and mumbled, "Well, nice meeting you." "You're leaving?" a voice asked. "But we just arrived." Carter turned to see Lila coming down the sidewalk alongside a girl in a wheelchair whose hair was red and unruly. Lila wore a smile while the other girl gave Carter a cautious, almost annoyed once-over. "Carter, you know Theo?" Lila asked, surprised. "Just met him, actually," Carter answered. "You know Lila?" Theo asked Carter. "Small town," Lila said. "And I'm Ridley Larson. Yes, I'm in a wheelchair. Don't ask me about it or you'll get a bloody nose." "Cross my heart," Carter said, crossing his heart. Theo squeezed Carter's shoulder. "You will never guess what just happened." "Probably not," said Ridley. "How about you tell us?" Theo went on to relate the tale of how Carter had helped him to stop the group of criminals from robbing the crowd in the park. "You should have seen us, a perfect team." "That's amazing, Carter," said Lila. "Very impressive." "Theo did most of the work," Carter added. "I was just sort of his assistant." Just then, a group of 4 kids dressed in expensive-looking clothes walked past and snickered, pretending, though not really, to hide their laughter. At the same time, Carter, Lila, Theo, and Ridley looked down at their feet and whispered, "Jerks." They all looked at one another and at the same time said, "They weren't laughing at you, they were laughing at me." All 4 chuckled and then turned toward the magic shop. "People laugh at me because they think I'm strange," Lila explained as she led the group up the street. "I like being strange." "People laugh at me because I wear a tuxedo," Theo added. "My parents got a great deal at the Tuxedo Emporium before I was even born." "People laugh at me because I'm smarter than them," Ridley said. She flicked at a bike bell that was attached to the arm of her wheelchair. It rang out, "Ring, ring." "It's not my fault they don't read books." "People laugh at me for all sorts of reasons," Carter finished. He couldn't bring himself to tell them that the reasons were his worn-out clothes and his unwashed hair, and that he sometimes dug through trash cans for dinner. They walked in silence for a bit, and then Lila asked, "Who wants cookies?" She stopped in front of Vernon's magic shop. "My papa made Linzer tarts this morning." 2 women wearing fancy floral dresses and wide-brimmed hats swung the door open and exited the shop, pushing past the group, laughing hysterically. "What a fantastic store!" one of the women cried out. "You kids have fun in there." "We always do," said Lila, waving the others to follow her inside. The store parrot squawked from her perch near the register, and everyone jumped. The bird repeated what sounded like an odd poem. "Rub the yellow piranha for the Magician's Club. Rub the yellow piranha for the Magician's Club." What's the yellow piranha?" asked Carter. Lila shrugged. "Usually our parrot is smart, but sometimes she just says nonsense. Carter, meet Presto. Presto, meet Carter." "Nice to meet you," Carter said, unsure if he should offer a hand to shake. He had never talked to a bird before. The bird squawked again, insistent. Rub the yellow piranha for the Magician's Club. Yes, yes, Presto, my girl, said a voice near the ceiling. When Carter looked up, Mr. Vernon was standing on the balcony overhead, still holding that feather duster as if it were his magic wand. We all heard you, crazy parrot. That seemed to be enough to calm the bird down. Sorry, friends, she gets excited sometimes. Excited is not the word I would use, Lila whispered. When she waved her hand, the parrot flew over and landed on her shoulder. Lila made kissing sounds, and Presto echoed them back to her. Then they both giggled. Ridley glanced around the store. Where's my top hat? Carter thought it best not to ask why Ridley would keep her top hat at Vernon's magic shop. Theo reached underneath the counter and pulled out the white rabbit that had been hopping around the store earlier that day. Come here, Top Hat, Ridley cooed, a true smile spreading across her face. Theo placed the rabbit on Ridley's lap where it nestled against her stomach, nose twitching furiously. Ridley's mom is allergic, Lila explained, so we're babysitting Top Hat for her. The other Mr. Vernon has been feeding her well, Mr. Vernon said. Don't you worry, Ridley. I'm not worried, not one bit. A knowing smile appeared beneath Vernon's black mustache as he turned to Carter. I see you've met the others. I did, Carter said, but his mind questioned whether the meeting was by chance or by design. Had Mr. Vernon purposely asked Carter to return at 4, knowing the kids would be getting off school? Do you three meet here a lot? Carter asked Lila. Every Friday after school lets out, Lila said. Ridley is homeschooled. Theo goes to private school, and I go to public. So we don't get to see one another except here. We meet, talk illusions and tricks, and of course, practice. I practice levitation, Theo said, as in making things float in the air. You saw my work earlier today. I love learning about transformation, Ridley added. She pulled a top hat off a nearby shelf, moved it behind her wheelchair, and when it reappeared, it had become a book with a top hat on the cover. I like to change objects from one to another. And I escape, Lila said. Dad, can you please chain me upside down in a tank full of water? I can and I will when you turn 18, Mr. Vernon said. Ridley turned to Carter and asked pointedly, do you have a skill? I don't know, Carter said, blood rushing to his face. He thought about his parents disappearing. He thought about running away from Uncle Sly. I guess you could say I make things vanish. I could say that, Ridley asked with a smirk. We should say that, Theo finished, raising an eyebrow. Yes, Nigel, did you need something?
Yeah. So every time you end your sentence, it starts sounding like a robot sound.
Okay,
again.
how am I sounding to you now?
It sounds better.
Okay,
Yeah.
well hopefully it'll stay that way. Thank you for letting me know. Sama, was that what you wanted to tell me also?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Is it better now?
Uh-huh.
Good, thank you. Leo, what did you want to tell me?
I told you nothing.
Oh, do you see the little blue hand on your screen, on your picture?
No,
I think you clicked to raise your hand.
I did not.
Oh, okay. No problem. Alrighty. Making things vanish is a fantastic skill for a magician, Mr. Vernon interjected. Using a similar technique in reverse is called production. I suspect you're quite good at both. After all, many magical routines use a combination of these very ideas. A great magician learns to master not one, but many of the various effects. For example, the classic cup and balls uses vanishes, productions, penetrations, transformations, and transportations. Friends, this is very good information to know when learning about magic. I hope you are writing it all down. How long have you been practicing magic? Carter asked. Since I was about your age, Mr. Vernon said, back then I had a group of friends who would get together just like these three do now. When I grow up, I want to be known as the first female Houdini, Lila said. I will take after Harry Keller and levitate a princess, Theo noted. Or maybe even a queen, if I can find one. No one is as great as John Neville Maskelyne, commented Ridley. He was not only a stage magician, but an inventor and a writer as well. The three began to argue. Clearly, this was an argument they had had many times before, and there would be no winner. Carter and Mr. Vernon exchanged an amused glance. Opinions are like hearts, Mr. Vernon said. Everybody's got one. Not everybody, Carter answered. I know some people who seem pretty heartless. Still full of doubt, I see, Vernon squinted at him. No matter. A healthy amount of skepticism is not a bad thing, especially when trying to make new friends. Friends? Carter echoed. Isn't that why you're here? Vernon asked. Carter set his jaw. I'm here because you told me to come back at 4 o'clock. Is that so? You were a little late. Up went that pointy white eyebrow. You probably didn't notice, though, because you were so busy trolling down Main Street with this trio, who definitely do not want to be your new friends. Lila, Theo, and Ridley emerged from a huddle. They were all staring at Carter. What is it? He asked, his voice cracking. What did I say? My vote is yes, said Theo. He saved me. My vote is no, said Ridley. He's too green. My vote is yes, too, Lila smiled. And my reasons are my own. Carter, we've just voted and would like to invite you to our secret hideout. Are you in? Carter had to hold back from shouting, yes. Instead, he smiled and then gave a little nod. Lila put on an upper crusty tone and said, Father, if you wouldn't mind turning away. Of course, Mr. Vernon grinned, adding with a dramatic whisper, one of these days I will find that secret hideout, and then it'll be all over for you rascally kids. Lila chuckled as she walked toward a bookshelf at the rear of the store and pulled on a thick volume entitled Secret Passages. The bookshelf made a clicking sound and then moved outward to reveal a doorway to a darkened, windowless room. This is where Dad hides the good stuff that's not for sale, Lila said, flicking a light switch on the wall. But we adopted it as our secret headquarters. Carter was so shocked all the words flew from his head. Inside this new secret room were antique reading chairs, lamps, more shelves adorned with pieces of knotted rope, elaborate heart-shaped locks with matching keys, and countless old photos of smiling people covering the walls. There was even a framed portrait of Houdini with his wrists shackled together. This was clearly Lila's space. Next to a pile of leather trunks, a tiny wood stove warmed the room. Nearby, the wall was hung with a framed picture of Lila being hugged by her two dads. When Uncle Sly did a trick, Carter thought it was to gain something. But here, behind the secret door, there were no tricks. It was an invitation to be part of a group, a team, a crew. Whether that included new friends, Carter wasn't yet sure. Instinctively, his hand trailed down to his satchel. He touched the wooden box, and a warm, welcoming feeling of home flooded over him. Or at least it was what Carter imagined a home to feel like. He only had vague memories of that little red cottage with white trim where he had once lived with his parents. Pretty awesome, huh? Lila asked. It's perfect, Carter whispered. Lila raced up to her apartment above the shop and fetched the Linzer tarts from the kitchen. When she returned, she blew a kiss to Mr. Vernon, then closed the door to the secret room. She and the others began to pore over the books and discuss future plans. Carter simply couldn't believe it. This morning, he had woken up alone on a park bench, and now these strangers had invited him into their home and further into their secret place. It was amazing how a chance meeting and a few laughs could bring such different people together. It was almost like, Carter didn't have another word for it. It was like magic. Chapter 9. After what seemed like an eternity, and yet no time at all, Ridley looked at her watch and said, "We should go." The four had spent the last few hours in the secret room in Vernon's magic shop, and it was the most fun he had ever had. Theo showed Carter how he pulled the bow from his pocket, a wire mechanism that allowed the bow to fold in half. Lila showed Carter how she had escaped from handcuffs, a key hidden under a square inch of fake skin on her wrist. And Ridley showed him a secret code that she had been working on, using actual cards from a playing deck. In exchange, Carter showed them some of his card and coin tricks. Ridley kept rolling her eyes until she looked in her pockets to find an entire deck of cards stuffed inside. Then she quieted down. The other Mr. Vernon brought them a platter of tiny cucumber and cream cheese sandwiches with all the crusts cut off. Carter wanted to shove the last few into his bag, but he knew that would look strange. He began to worry about what he would do when Lila kicked everyone out. There was no way he could sleep on the park bench again, now that he knew how close it was to the magic shop. But where else could he go? If Uncle Sly were here, they would have already worked several shell games and made at least enough to get through a couple of days in a boarding house. That, however, was all in the past. "Come on," Theo said, waving for Carter to follow. "Where?" Carter asked. "To the carnival, silly," Lila said. "We've been looking forward to it all week." "Oh," Carter said, feeling his stomach drop at the thought of Basso and his goons. "I think I'm going to pass." "Why?" Theo asked. "I thought everyone enjoyed the festivities of public revelry." "Yeah, I went last night," Carter said. "It wasn't that great. I'm pretty sure the stuff in the sideshow is fake and the games are all rigged." "We know that," Ridley said. "That's why we want to go, to figure out how everything works and beat them at their own game." "It's always good for young magicians' minds to learn all the mysteries around them," Theo added. "That way we can better replicate them." "Come on," Lila said, taking Carter's arm in her own. "It'll be fun." Carter didn't want to go, but he also wanted to keep hanging out with his new friends. Reluctantly, he gave in. What was the worst that could happen? If you ever find yourself as a character in a story, refrain from asking yourself this question. Inevitably, you will find out the answer, and most likely, you will not like it. The sun had nearly set by the time they made it to the fairgrounds. As the four passed under the twinkling stringed lights at the carnival's entrance, Carter was on edge. He withdrew the newsboy cap from his bag and put it on. He pulled it low over his eyes, hoping that none of Basso's gang would recognize him. "Let's get some ride tickets," Lila said, grabbing Theo and pulling him over to the ticket booth. While the others waited in line, Carter found himself alone with Ridley by the twinkling gate. Theo and Lila seemed to accept Carter without question, but Ridley looked at him like he was a machine she was trying to figure out. "So," Ridley asked point blank, "what's your deal?" "My deal? Yeah, where are you from? Where do you live? Where do you go to school? Why are you here?" Ridley asked. "It's complicated," Carter answered honestly. "So tell me." Carter kicked some spilled popcorn on the ground. He wasn't sure how to answer, but the silence was growing tense. "I'll be blunt," Ridley said. "I want you to know that I don't trust you. Not one solid inch. I voted for you not to see the secret room. Theo and Lila see the best in people, but I don't. Funny how we just spent hours together and I don't know a single thing about you. So I'll ask you one last time, why are you here?" "Here in Mineral Wells?" Carter asked, shaken by Ridley's aggressive questioning. Quickly, he lied. "My parents and I are staying at the Royal Spruce Hotel." "You mean the Grand Oak Resort?" "Of course that's what I meant," Carter answered, forcing himself to chuckle. Ridley's fierce stare was throwing him off. "What do you want from Lila and Theo?" Ridley asked. "What do you want from Mr. Vernon?" "Nothing," Carter said. "Nothing. I don't want anything from anyone. I never have." "That's not true," Ridley said. "Everyone has something up their sleeve." Dozens of thoughts rolled around in Carter's head. He wanted a home. He wanted a family. He wanted to have friends. But none of these things were realistic, at least not until he came to Mineral Wells. Right now, Carter was just trying to hold on to the happiness he had found since meeting Mr. Vernon the previous night. But how did he say all that to Ridley, or Lila, or Theo without sounding like a total wastrel? Wastrel is another word for vagabond, that horrible term. The three would vanish him faster than he knew how to vanish himself. I'm not a bad person, he whispered. You didn't answer my question. Ridley's stare was unbearable. What do you want here? To belong, okay? Carter snapped. He felt tears in his eyes, but he wasn't sure. Quickly, he wiped at them. You don't know what it's like to be alone. Ridley flinched. You'd be surprised what I know. The two stood in silence for a moment, then looked at Theo and Lila, who were laughing and smiling in the ticket line. They have it easier than most, Ridley said quietly. That's why they're so fast to accept others. Me? Everyone treats me like I'm different. I'm not different, not that different. I'm just me. She softened. I wasn't trying to be a jerk to you or anything. I'm just protective of my friends. Ms. Zalewski came to mind. Carter said, I understand, so am I. Okay, we have a question here. Axel, great use of the chat to ask me a question. A vagabond, who remembers what the word vagabond means? Miles.
It means you're doing the same thing that someone else is doing.
That was the word unison that you're thinking of, doing something in unison. But that tells me you're paying close attention to these new vocabulary words. Thank you. How about Eleanor? Sorry, Eleanor, wait just a second. Your hand is not up? I can't seem to unmute you, Eleanor. I'm going over to Addie. There we go, Addie, go ahead.
A vagabond means somebody who steals.
Sometimes I think it can be associated with stealing. Mainly, the main part was what, Alina?
It means that you're like you don't have a family and you kind of like wish you had one and you don't live anywhere.
Yes.
And yeah, you're trying to let people understand that you do that, but they just call you a vagabond.
So the main part of being a vagabond is that you don't have a fixed home. You travel around from place to place. And then some people have made an association between people traveling from place to place. Some of them steal. And so they've used that term vagabond to refer to people who go from town to town stealing from people. And then a new word that was just introduced is the word wastrel, which is the same thing as a vagabond. Okay, so Axel, did that answer your question? Great. Good job, everybody. Leo, I see your hand up. Let me unmute you. What did you want to say, Leo?
Was Uncle Sly tricking him? Oh.
Uncle Sly sounds like he tricked everybody, doesn't he?
Yeah, because his voice sounds funny.
You think so?
Yeah.
Okay. Did
Because
I do a good voice for Uncle Sly?
Yeah, it looks like he's tricking him.
I agree with you. Yep. Good point.
Mommy, look at message.
I guess we have more in common than I thought, Ridley admitted. So you really want to be a magician? I don't know. I never really thought about it, Carter answered. What magic I did just seemed to cause others pain. But watching you all, it seems cool. And I'm good with my hands. Oh yeah? You wouldn't know real magic if it ran over your toes. With a grin, Ridley ran over Carter's foot with her wheelchair. Ow, he said. For a moment, he thought Ridley had broken their unspoken truce. Then he noticed the words real magic had appeared on the top of his shoe, the letters composed of tiny pieces of masking tape. Carter laughed in amazement. That's really good. You'll have to teach me that one. Ridley finally smiled. We'll see. Theo returned to the gate with Lila holding a stack of small blue paper tickets. She said, first I want to ride the spinning swings, and then we should do bumper cars, and then we have to ride Bosso's blender. I heard it'll make you puke out of your ears. And that's fun how? Theo asked. How is that not fun? She laughed and then pulled out a pair of handcuffs from her pocket, slapping them quickly onto Theo's and Ridley's wrists before pulling them toward the swings. You go ahead, Carter said. I didn't get any tickets. He couldn't afford to. But then he remembered someone had made coins appear in his pocket just that morning. Would it be worth buying his own tickets instead of using the money for dinner? No, it was better to save the money for a real emergency. We purchased enough for all of us, Theo said, awkwardly maneuvering his handcuffed arm to hand Carter some of his. Lila, can you please remove these? Lila smacked her palm against their wrists and the cuffs released. Thank you. No, really, it's fine, Carter protested. He felt uncomfortable taking the tickets without giving something in return. I'm not sure I even want... You're riding the rides with us, Theo interrupted. No ifs, ands, or buts. Carter worried that if he didn't accept the offer, they'd think he was hiding something. And though he was hiding something, many things in fact, he wasn't ready to risk losing anyone over it. As the swings lifted into the air and the bumper cars crashed into one another and the blender spun them in nauseating circles, Carter forgot himself. The newsboy hat that he had pulled low over his brow was working. This was the first time in a very long while that he had allowed himself to feel somewhat safe. Yes, Danny?
Why did Bosso's why does Carter not want to join Bosso's party, like crowd?
The Bosso's crowd, those guys, he got a bad feeling that they were up to no good. And he doesn't want to live that life anymore. So he's trying to hide. He's pulling his hat down low over his face to hide from them so they won't come find him and ask him again to join them.
Okay.
Ada.
Why wasn't Carter just honest with like Britley and Lila and Theo?
Yeah, that would seem to make things a lot simpler, wouldn't it? But has he had a lot of experience with people he can trust in his life?
No.
No, so it might take him a little more time to feel like he can trust them with that private information. Yeah. Okay, I have about 3-4 pages left. Do you think you guys can sit with me for another 5 minutes or so and finish these last pages of this chapter? Yes, okay. Afterward, the gang walked along the aisle of game booths. They each took turns trying to figure out how the games were fixed. Fixed in this case means set up to be advantageous to one person, and it was not the person playing the game. At the milk bottle pyramid, Carter offered up the theory he had told Mr. Vernon. Ridley added, probably, but they also could fill the bottoms with lead, so they weigh like 10 pounds each. And look, that heavy curtain behind them helps to hold them up. At the balloon dart throw, Theo said, they underinflate the balloons, and the darts are too light to have any force behind them, so they bounce right off. At the duck pond game, Lila noted, catching the rubber ducks with a pole and string and hook is easy, but 99% of them have a lame prize marked on the bottom. No one wins the big prize here. Ridley appeared to be the sharpest of the bunch. As she rolled down the strip, she'd point and say, that basketball hoop is too small for the ball to go through. Or, The space between the stuffed cats is bigger than it looks. It's just they're so furry you'd never know. Or the plate curves so coins slide off except for the ones they glued on to look like winners. Astounding, Theo said. Carter, how would you like a pink flamingo? Lila asked. To eat, Carter joked, or as a pet? Up to you, she said, pointing to the flock of stuffed pink birds hanging from the ceiling of the ring toss booth. Carter laughed and then said, but we know it's rigged. Yeah, but beating a rigged game is more fun, Ridley smirked. Win once, all you get is a tiny parrot. Win twice, you get a sketchy-looking bear. But win all 3 throws and you walk away with a giant pink flamingo. It's the biggest prize in the whole carnival. Everyone will notice how great we really are. Carter actually didn't want to be noticed. If you look around, you'll notice no one has a flamingo, Lila said. No one wins the best prizes, but we're going to be the first. Carter's face flushed. His instinct told him to turn and run away. Instead, he forced himself to ask, why are you guys being so nice to me? Theo scrunched up his face, confused. Why would we not be nice to you? Ridley crossed her arms and scowled. It's so you can belong, dummy. We all know what it's like to feel the opposite. Carter had to force a smile away to keep from looking like a fool. Lila walked up to the booth runner and said, 3 tickets for 3 rings, please. She handed 1 ring to Ridley, 1 to Theo, and kept 1 for herself. Ladies first, Theo said. Ridley rolled over. Her eyes sized up the distance, the green bottles, the weight of the ring in her hand, and so on. Ada, was there a question?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to
No problem.
Oh, wait.
Nigel, are you doing okay?
Your voice is like a robot again.
Okay, is it better now?
Yeah. Now it is, but sometimes it starts.
Oh.
Why does nobody get the prize?
It's very hard to win.
Oh.
Hard to win the flamingo because the game is not fair.
Oh.
The people who made the game made it really hard to win. So it's not fair.
Oh.
Okay? Okay. Ridley rolled over. Her eyes sized up the distance, the green bottles, the weight of the ring in her hand, and so on. Come on, we don't have all day, the booth runner said. Ridley tossed the ring, and it landed on the first bottle. She stuck her tongue out at the man. Lila stepped up next. She stretched her arms overhead and cracked her knuckles. Standing on one leg, the other extended behind her, she bent forward, leaning as far over the rail as possible. She gave a slight toss, and the ring landed on the closest bottle. That's cheating, the booth runner hissed. No, it's not, Lila said, still stretched out over the rail. It says no touching the rail. I'm not touching. I'm hovering above. Step back, the booth runner insisted. Hey, buddy, Ridley waved from her wheelchair, her red brows furrowed. During my turn, I couldn't even get close to the railing, so let's just call it even. What do you say? The booth runner took a step back with a huff. Then it was Theo's turn. He slid his violin bow out of his pants pocket. This time, Carter saw the folding mechanism lock into place. Theo waved the bow over the ring on the counter, and it began to float. Carter held his breath. He still didn't know how Theo made things levitate. The ring danced into the air. The booth runner looked like he was going to faint. A second later, the ring landed gently on one of the bottles with a satisfying clink. Yes, Carter pumped his fist. He couldn't help it. 1 flamingo a go-go, please, said Lila. Still scratching his head, the booth runner handed them the giant prize. The 4 friends high-fived and burst into laughter. Ridley rolled triumphantly down the midway as Lila skipped beside her, the giant pink flamingo bobbing atop her shoulders. On the other side of the wheelchair, Theo stepped along in his usual way. Carter weaved in front of them, unable to hide his excitement. How'd you do that? A real magician never reveals her secrets, said Ridley. Oh, that old myth, Theo said with a chuckle. Not a myth, said Ridley. It's a rule of real magic. You wouldn't know real magic if it bit you on the knee, Carter said. Ridley gazed down to find the words real magic on her pants leg. Carter had snuck the words off his shoe and onto her knee without her noticing. Ridley half smiled, impressed. You didn't let me finish, said Ridley. I was going to say that a magician never reveals her secrets to just anyone. How'd I beat the ring toss? By gauging the weight and using simple physics. There's this thing called gravity, Lila said with a playful shrug. You probably heard of it. A very helpful law of nature. I use that. Since the rings are made of super springy plastic, the closer you are, the less they bounce. And you, Carter asked Theo, ready to finally tell me the secret of your bow? Theo considered and then said, not yet. Everyone laughed. Okay, we're going to wrap it up for today. So, I will not be meeting with you next week during spring break, but I will be thinking of you, and I will be hopefully posting some more lessons. Last night I posted one about telling time. That also includes, I'll get to you, I see your hands. It also includes a brand new story that I've never told in class about the history of time and clocks. So if that sounds like something interesting, you might want to check it out, and also be very impressed with my video skills. I've learned how to edit my videos, and I've learned how to put pictures up, but not very well. So sometimes the pictures just cover my face, but I'm learning. So check that one out. It's up on YouTube already. And I will give you a couple of opportunities to ask a question or make a comment before we go, okay? Ada's dying to say something. Ada, trying to unmute you. It won't work, I don't know why. Oh, I had it. Okay, go. Ada.
I watched that one already.
Did you? What'd you think of it?
Good.
Did you like how the pictures showed up?
Yeah.
Great. I'm glad you liked it. Okay.
That's what Nana couldn't understand.
Well, Nana always sits nicely and listens to my stories, though, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't know what all she's absorbing. Okay, Ava.
I was gonna ask you, like, to send a message. Did you do it so you can't do private talk to somebody else?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did, because it's a little bit distracting to have that going on while we're trying to read. Danny has sent me a message, though, that says she really likes the book. I'm glad to hear that, Danny. Very glad to hear that. Okay, let me just check and see if I've got any more people wanting to ask a question. Leo, did you have a question? Where are you, Leo? Leo, did you have a question, kiddo?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Nigel said he subscribed to the Montessori YouTube channel so he can get all the videos. Yeah, Mrs. Mayhew's very happy to hear that. Sam. I almost couldn't tell Sam that your hand was up because it was actually pointing down.
You like my upside down screen?
I do.
Does anyone want to know how to do it?
Sure.
So you go beside the stop video and you see the up arrow. You go into choose virtual background, and if you see your screen, there's in the top right corner, there's a rotate 90 degrees.
Aha. Like this?
Yeah, that's good.
Did I do it?
Yes, you did do it.
All
It was
right.
really funny.
So look at me and my computer skills. Thank you, Sam. but I gotta fix that.
Oh, Axel, I like it.
It's gonna give me motion sickness. Addie says she likes the book a lot. Nigel says, please stop, I'm getting sick. Okay, so.
That just made me not stop.
You guys, I want to let you know how much Mrs. Min has helped us out this week and Mrs. Schneider. They have been super, super helpful to me in making sure everything's taken care of here at school so I can get more lessons done. So if you have a chance to say thank you to them, I would really appreciate it. Also, Mrs. Ming did some late night copying for me. The teachers have all been working together really hard to be able to be with you every day. And I am actually kind of, maybe for the first time in 25 years, I'm kind of sad that it's spring break next week because I'm going to miss you guys even more than I already do. So I'm going to go ahead and unmute you so you guys can check in with each other, and then we'll close up shop for today.
Yay.
Hi, Axel. I like your upside down screen. It's very nice. Totally not getting sick. Little freak.
Bye.
What are you doing? You can also look like Spider-Man. You want to see?
Bye, Alina. Bye, Annie. Bye,
Spider-Man.
I really look like Spider-Man, don't I?
No, you're not Spider-Man yet.
Bye, Sam. Bye.
I really look like a microphone.
Bye, Miles. Bye, Bye, Ada.
Axel, rotate your screen 90 degrees one more time. You're watching from the side.
You are now upside down.
I'm not upside down. I'm walking on the wall.
Bye, guys.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Tim.
Hi, Axel. Where are you? Where's the Axel left? Bye, you guys. See you.
He says no more.
When?
Hello. Hello.
Okay. Oh, Svea, your kitty.
What? Where?
The flowers.
Oh, yeah. All right. Shall we close up? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
Sorry, Nana.
How do we leave?
How do we leave?
No.